The wind carried it, first copper antiseptic, something chemical underneath. Logan stopped at the tree line and let it settle. Past the fence, a man was crying, not screaming the way people do when they've given up on being heard. 2 guards at the gate cameras angled wrong. He went in low through the gap in their sweep. The first never heard him. The second did half a second before steel found his throat. 1 slug punched through his shoulder, crossing the courtyard. Another grazed his side. Both holes knitted shut beneath the blood before he reached the door. A 3rd guard saw that and put his hands up instead. Inside smelled worse. Restraints, needle trays, a hallway of cells with slits instead of windows. He dragged a doctor out from behind a cabinet. Who runs this place? Vought. He didn't wait to be asked twice. Compound V. Trial subjects. Off-book testing nobody wanted traced back. The floor shook. A wall gave out below, and the cells popped open on their own. Patients spilled out, some running, some swinging at anything that moved. A shape came out of the smoke, small and fast, murder in her eyes. She struck without a word. He slipped outside the second swing, redirected her wrist, hooked her balance, and put her on her back. 1 claw stopped an inch from her throat. No flinch, just a glance past him toward a broad-shouldered man with a pistol on Logan and another dragging a patient to cover. He pulled back. You're not one of them. Electricity lit the ceiling blue. A dark-haired woman descended through the hole without touching the floor, sparks crawling up both arms. "Ah, you rescuing people now?" The blast that followed locked every muscle in his body and threw him through a steel cart. He was already moving for her when the floor gave out below, patients screaming as the room folded downward. He changed direction. By the time he'd pulled the last one clear, she was gone. Scorched concrete, the smell of ozone. The broad-shouldered man lowered his pistol halfway. "Who the hell are you?" Logan flicked blood off his knuckles. "Where's Vought?" The hideout smelled of mildew and gun oil. Frenchie circled Logan's eyes on his forearms. "That metal goes through the bone?" "Yes." "No." "Technically." "Still no." A man in a long coat pushed through, looking him over like a buyer inspecting a used truck. "Heard Vought sent guns at you." "Didn't go well," he said. "Fancy another cause?" "Depends whose cause." "Same cause as anyone with eyes." "Vought." "Then Homelander's overdue a bad fucking day. Point me at the facts. I'll decide." His jaw tightened. Then 1 corner of his mouth twitched, more amused than annoyed. "Butcher." Mother's milk laid it out. Compound V kids dosed before they understood it. Adults locked up while Vought stabilized the formula. He'd heard that story before, under different names. He answered by standing up the next morning and following them out the door. Huey found records routed off Vaught's servers to a government liaison office, not a corporate one. "Might be nothing," Mother's milk said. "Vought and the military share beds." He filed it away, said nothing. A Vought surveillance team had a car on Huey before dusk. Logan smelled gun oil, first circled behind the tree line. 1 man hit the dirt before he could turn. The second went face first into the hood before his rifle came level. Huey stared at the 2 men, then at Logan's hands. "You didn't even use the claws." "Didn't need to." By the time Vought reviewed the wreckage, 1 detail stood out: no trace of Compound 5 in his blood. Stan Edgar read the report once, set it down. Alive. Logan smelled him 2 days before anyone saw him. Something under gun oil and rubber. A stillness that didn't belong in traffic noise or wind. Whoever Vought had sent, he was good at not existing. He didn't tell the others. He wanted to see who they'd send. The ambush came in an abandoned depot on the edge of the industrial district, exactly where a professional would choose. No windows. 1 exit concrete that swallowed sound. Logan walked in anyway. The first knife came from the rafters, silent until it wasn't. He turned half a step too late and took it across the ribs. A second blade followed low, aimed at the femoral artery. He blocked that one with his forearm and felt the edge grind against bone that didn't break. Black Noir fought like something built for exactly this. No wasted motion, no sound. Every strike aimed at a place that would end a normal man. He matched him step for step, reading the shift of weight before each cut landed. Noir drove a blade into his stomach, twisting for the kill. Logan let it stay there and grabbed the wrist holding it. The distance between them collapsed to nothing. 6 inches of adamantium went up through Noir's ribs before he understood the trade he'd just made. His other hand kept moving, throwing knuckles into Logan's jaw, even as his legs stopped answering him. Logan didn't pull the claws back until the body stopped fighting. No words, no sound but the drip off the blade. Just silence settling back into the depot, the way it had been before either of them arrived. Frenchie found a comm unit clipped inside the ruined vest and pocketed it without asking permission. Miles away, a phone rang once in Stan Edgar's office. He listened, said nothing, and crossed out every plan on the page in front of him with a single line. Vought stopped sending soups after Sage Grove. Instead, they sent editors. The footage went out in pieces, patients thrashing guards on the ground. Nothing of the collapse, nothing of the rescue. Ashley stood in front of a screen full of headlines and asked the room a single question. Do we have an angle where he looks worse? Nobody answered. Someone wrote it down anyway. By morning, cable anchors were calling him a domestic threat, a mutant terrorist, a weapon that had slipped its leash. Logan heard none of it directly, but Huey showed him a headline on his phone, and Logan handed it back without reading past the first line. They're not wrong about the leash part. Surveillance shifted too. Instead of hunting, Logan Vought put a car on Huey and Mother's Milk, tailing them through a warehouse district in New Jersey. Logan caught the tail before they finished parking. Same gun oil, different faces. He led the team around behind the building instead of through the front. Inside, one of the watchers wasn't human anymore. Skin like poured concrete knuckles the size of fists twice over. He put a punch through a support beam, trying to reach Logan first. Logan didn't trade blows. He waited for the follow-through, stepped inside the swing, and put 3 claws through a gap under the ribs where concrete hadn't finished growing. The man in the doorway with the pistol lowered it slightly. Mother's Milk. He'd earned that much trust without asking for it. They found the surveillance logs in a locked case under the floor. Names, transfers, budget lines routed somewhere outside Vought's own accounting. One name sat at the bottom of the page, circled twice in someone else's handwriting. Liberty. Liberty and Stormfront were the same woman, wearing 2 different decades. Huey pulled the records. Logan didn't need to read past the photograph. He didn't discuss it. He started tracking her. Stormfront kept height whenever possible, favored open ground, used lightning to force distance instead of closing it. A woman who understood exactly how dangerous he was up close. He picked the terrain instead of chasing her into it. An abandoned mill with a low roof, narrow catwalk, steel drums stacked floor to ceiling. Not much room to fly, plenty of things to hide behind. She found him there anyway. Somebody's been doing his homework. Lightning tore through a support column behind him. He kept moving drums for cover while Stormfront circled the rafters, hunting a clean angle. Every angle closed before she could use it. Melee came twice, both times reckless, both times ending with a shove back toward open air before contact. By the 3rd try, patience ran out. Down she came, arms crackling, closing fast to finish it at range 0. He cut her legs out before she leveled off adamantium, opening both knees in one motion. Concrete cracked under the impact, sparks jumping wild across the floor. Talk kept coming anyway. Something about better blood, about people like him being an accident nature should have corrected. Heard this crap before, Logan said, and didn't wait for the rest of it. 3 claws ended the conversation. Across the city, Homelander stood over a photograph of the body on a tablet screen, the room around him gone very quiet. For the first time since Sage Grove, he stopped asking what Stan Edgar wanted done about the mutant. He wanted Logan for himself. Mother's Milk was the one Logan checked with before moving on anything, not out of obligation. Competence earned that on its own. Huey still talked more than any situation required, but somewhere between Sage Grove and now he had stopped minding it. A man who kept his conscience running that loud in a place built to grind it down was worth something. Kimiko never talked at all. He didn't push her to. He started showing her things instead. Watch the feet before the hands read the weight shift before the swing. Let the anger move the blade, instead of the blade moving the anger. She didn't need the lesson twice. The convoy hit on a service road outside the city. 3 armored trucks moving trial subjects between facilities escorted by 4 Vought operatives with reinforced skin and worse attitudes. He and Kimiko took the lead truck together. She went low, gutting the first guard's knee before he'd cleared the door. Logan came over the hood and put a claw through the second before the alarm finished its first note. One operative caught Logan mid-swing and threw him through the truck's side panel. He was back on his feet before the dust settled 3 claws, answering for the throw. Behind them, Frenchie cracked the rear doors, and the prisoners came stumbling out into daylight for the first time in weeks. Mother's Milk found a manifest taped inside the cab names, dates, destinations. Some hadn't gone to Vought facilities at all. They'd been routed straight to a government address instead. That night back at the hideout, Huey mentioned a name while going through the files low enough that it wasn't meant for the whole room. Ryan. Logan didn't ask who that was. He just kept listening. Huey explained it first. Becca the boy the house Vought built around him, like a cage disguised as a childhood. Homelander's son. Powers nobody had tested the ceiling on yet. Butcher took it a different direction. If the kid can actually stand up to his father, we can't just ignore that. He's a kid, Logan said. He's Homelander's kid. Still a kid. Butcher's jaw worked like he wanted to argue the point further and thought better of it. When he's old enough to choose his own fight, that's his call, Logan said. Nobody builds a plan around him before that. Butcher went quiet in a way that said he understood exactly whose history Logan was actually talking about. No punches thrown, just a line drawn hard enough that everyone in the room heard it. Meanwhile, Homelander had stopped waiting on Vought's permission. He was hunting on his own schedule now, and Logan knew it the same way he knew weather coming. He didn't hide from it. He built a trail instead, small, deliberate, easy enough for a man with Homelander's ego to follow straight to the one building that mattered most to Vought's image. The elevator in the tower's lobby chimed once doors sliding open on an empty floor already waiting for him. Heat vision opened the floor first, then the ceiling. Logan used the wreckage as cover, taking the hits he couldn't dodge and letting them close before the next one landed. Homelander noticed. A man who wasn't dying was new to him. He switched to raw power, a punch that sent Logan through a wall, a tackle that dropped 2 floors of concrete on top of him. Nothing that followed put him down for good. He stopped trying to match strength for strength. He watched instead the half-second before the laser. The angle Homelander favored the exact moment ego started making the decisions instead of tactics. Homelander got louder, angrier, started fighting to prove something rather than finish something. That was the opening. He lunged for a grab. Logan let him take it, closing the distance to nothing on purpose. Steel found him from below the jaw before Homelander understood what the trade had cost him. No comeback, no last stand, just silence where a very loud man used to be. Vought's collapse started within days. Programs shut down, records scattered faster than anyone could bury them. But the wreckage kept surfacing new problems. A government building outside the city held what remained Sage Grove Files Compound 5 research and blood work on Logan himself. Nobody there had planned to destroy any of it. Butcher looked at the stacks longer than he needed to. Might be useful if another Homelander shows up. Mother's Milk didn't like it. Huey liked it even less. Logan looked at Butcher. That's what they said about me. No claws, no fight, just a line drawn hard enough to hold. Outside tire tracks led away from the loading dock, a convoy that had already gone carrying whoever survived the last round of testing. Where are you going? Mother's Milk asked. Finding them. Kimiko moved first. Mother's Milk followed, then Huey, then Frenchie. Butcher stood there a moment longer than the rest, then fell in behind them.